What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Lake Mead. Let's fish that. Alright guys, first fish for the day. Just looking for a place to land this fish through all the trees we got here. And there we go guys. First little striper. This one is quite skinny, but that's going to be our first fish for the day. Let's get him on ice. Alright guys, last time I was here at Lake Mead, in this particular spot doing some striper fishing. In that video I had a hidden comment stating that if this comment gets enough likes that I would do a catch and cook here on my channel. That comment actually got a few likes. I think it's the most liked comment on my channel to date. So for that reason I'm here today to do a catch and cook video. However, most of the fishing channels on YouTube tend to have a catch and cook video to try and be a bit different. I'm going to call mine a catch, clean and cook, where I hopefully catch some fish, we clean them and then we cook them. So I'll share some hints and tips with you guys along the way for that. But for now, let's get to fishing. Alright guys, one of the few problems I have discovered quite recently when getting here to fish. The waters of Lake Mead has risen quite a few inches. For instance, last time that I was here, I was on the outside of those bushes. There's another bank there. I was standing on that bank. That is all underwater at the moment. Likewise, there we have that little bushes and stuff. I was trying to cast behind that. That's where the deep drop off is. At the moment that's quite far to reach. It's not that easy to cast all the way out to there. So we'll see if we can get any fish. I have my two rods set up here, both of them with anchovies, normal Carolina rig and anchovies. Cast them out there, and now all we have to do is wait for the fish to show up. Alright guys, I thought I was recording, but clearly not. Managed to get my second little striper, even with the boat here in the shallow waters. I mean, you have the entire Lake Mead to go to, and for some reason they come here where I'm busy catching fish. However, hopefully they will leave soon. To prove to you guys, this is the second one. We already have the one in the cooler box. This is the second one. Gonna prepare this one to get him ready for the ice. Just one little update. I've been having a couple of hits on both the rods. They're pulling, but not as I'm used to them pulling from little stripers. And if you bring in the baits, you will see that there are little nibble marks all over the baits. Don't know what fish that might be. Might be some white bass, and my hooks are too big for them. maybe some other sunfish or something. I don't know if you guys have any idea what type of fish will be nibbling on my little anchovies down there. Please do comment down below saying what fish you guys think is doing the little nibble work here in Lake Mead. Alright guys, we got a fish on again. This one was quite shallow, wasn't that deep in. Definitely one of the biggest stripers for today so far. And there we are guys, our third little skinny striper for the day. They are skinny because there are not enough bait fish in the lake for them. So quickly going to get a measurement on this one just to make sure how big it is. Alright guys, so what I normally do is I put on the little tongue and I zero it out. Put on our little striper. And it's 0.73 kilograms. That's 1.62 pounds. And that's how I also weigh my fish every time. Alright guys, another fish on. Alright guys, this one got stuck in the tree. Quickly gonna go and try and rescue him. That means I have to take off my pants, meaning no more sound. Alright guys, hopefully the sound's working. Our fourth little striper for the day, just rescued out of the tree. Can I tell you guys the water is rather cold today. Jeez, just cast this one in and we got our fifth fish on there. Didn't even have time to put the little bell on. Alright guys, that's number 5. Alright guys, so my channel is not made for children, but there's always the possibility of children watching. For them, I quickly want to say, guys, if you are watching, I quickly need you to go call your mom or your dad or a guardian. I want you to quickly hit the pause button and go call a grown-up. So hit pause now. Alright guys, so the next step in my catch, clean and cook is going to be to dispatch the fish so that we can take them to the cleaning station. I am not going to show any graphical images or anything like that of this process. I would just like to explain a couple of these processes to you guys. Alright guys, so whether you like me like to keep the fish on ice, or whether you like to keep them alive in the water on a stringer, keeping them alive as long as possible, at the end of the day you are going to have to dispatch these fish before you can go and clean them. So when it comes to dispatching the fish, I like to think of the most, I would say, humane way of doing so. Back in South Africa, we had a thing we called the priest. It was a little brass or metal rod. It worked well for trout. If you hit the trout directly above the eyes on the head, one good hit, the fish is instantly dead. However, that does not work on all the fish. Different places where the brain's located, stuff like that. For ocean fish, I used to use my little bait needle. Just press it into the brain of the fish. Quick and easy death for the fish. I know there's also guys that like to cut through the spinal cord of the fish. Quick and easy way to do so. I, however, have a different technique. It's kind of similar to when you go hunting. If you cannot do a heart shot or a brain shot, you go for a double lung shot. That's a quick and easy way for the animal to bleed out and eventually die. Now it works the same with the fish. All I do is I take a little knife and I cut the gills. It's the same as getting a shot through the lungs, cutting the gills. They also bleed. This is quite important because if you catch the fish, it's producing adrenaline. If you actually cut the gills and it bleeds out, all that adrenaline and stuff goes out of the fish, meaning that at the end of the day the meat on the fish tastes a lot better. Alright guys, here at Lake Mead we are provided with some fish cleaning stations. We are lucky enough to have a few of them around. So the next step is going to be cleaning the fish. For my sensitive viewers, this might get a bit too much for you guys. If you want to skip this part, please go to this number on the video, as that is where we will start with the cooking of the fish rather than the cleaning. Alright guys, so when it comes to cleaning these fish, you don't need anything fancy. You can pretty much do it all with your little filleting knife. The only thing is, please do ensure that you have a sharp knife, as the chances of getting hurt with a sharp knife is actually less than with a dull knife. Also, please also do remember to always keep the blade away from you when cleaning the fish or cutting. Cut away from your body, not towards yourself, always away from you. So here's my catch for today. Got my 7 little stripers here. Next step is going to be to clean them. Alright guys, first thing we want to do is we want to take off the scales from the fish. To do that we need any knife. I'm going to use my filleting knife because mine has this little serrated edge. If you have a serrated edge, it's quite easier to get the scales off, but you can always use a normal kitchen knife as well, or a table knife. Anything that can go against the scales. You want to start at the back end and press upwards. That way you ensure you get the scales. So you start from the tail all the way in the back and you make your way up towards the head. Alright guys, so the scales have been removed. Now most people tend to leave the skin on there. I don't like the skin even if you fry it nice and crispy. I just have an aversion to the skin, so we will probably remove the skin. But for now I'm going to leave the skin on here as well as the tail, because we want to see if we can perhaps remove the skin while having the tail on there. But we do not keep the head. So I quickly want to show you guys a nice little neat trick on removing the head and the insides all in one. Alright, so using your filleting knife, you start at the back side and you cut open the belly. Right, so after cutting open the belly, you want to lift the fin, and right behind the fin to where you cut, you make an incision behind the fin through the belly all the way to the top of the head. Turn the fish around, do the same. The opposite side. Alright, once you've made your incisions, stand the fish upright, and then these incisions you make, you cut down and you cut through. You cut through the spinal cord. So then if you grab the little head and you pull down, you have all the intestines coming out with the head. Alright guys, and that's what we end up with. These are the little fish. Still have the skin on there. Took off the spines at the top, the back, took out all the intestines and the head. Later we will remove the tail and the skin. Reason for leaving the tail is when you remove the skin you need something to grab onto, and that's why we have that. Alright, so the next step will be to cook these guys. So let's head back home and we'll cook these guys. Alright guys, the last step that we have to take is the cooking part. Hence we are in the kitchen. So to try and keep things as simple as possible, based on the many different recipes we could use, I've selected to only take one. I will have in the description part down below, I have the ingredients to make the batter and stuff for this recipe down there if you guys would like to have a look at that. In my household, however, my wife is actually the cook, and I'm going to hand you guys over to her. She's going to show you guys how to prepare the fish and how to make the batter and how to cook it.
Okay guys, so we're going to take these beautiful striped bass fillets, and I'm just going to cut them in half basically to make sure that they are easier to handle instead of the really long fillets that we have. And I've got them on some paper towel to ensure that they're really nice and dry. And this is just in order for the batter to stick better to the actual fish. So I actually want to start off by heating the oil. So basically the oil needs to be heated to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 175 degrees Fahrenheit. So that translates roughly to 175 degrees Celsius to 190 degrees Celsius. And I'm just using some canola oil, but you can use vegetable oil or whichever other high temperature oil you prefer to use. We'll just be using this little thermometer, cooking thermometer that I have to test the oil when we see that it's starting to heat up. Okay, so in the meantime, we can actually start making the batter so long. Again, just making sure that the fillets are really nice and dry so we can keep them on the paper towel while we're busy. So basically what I'm going to use is I'm going to use half a cup for this amount of fish. So this is basically 4 fillets, so the equivalent of 2 relatively small striped bass fillets, but obviously it depends on what fish you're using and how much of the fish you're using. But I'll be using half a cup of self-rising flour. We need 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Then we need 1 teaspoon of salt. So this is just normal iodinated salt, table salt. We need 1/4 cup of water. And then also 1/4 cup of milk. And we'll just combine that into a nice batter. So you would need to gauge this as well. So this is a bit of a thick batter at the moment, so I'm just going to add another drop or 2 of water. So you just have to eyeball it and see what it looks like. And I'm doing this teaspoon by teaspoon. There we go, this looks good to me. Okay, so we're at a pretty good temperature. We're like at 182 degrees Celsius. And I think the moment that we drop some fish in there, obviously it's going to cool down again. So just get rid of most of the excess batter. Then we go in. A bit of smaller pieces first, just so that it's kind of the same size of pieces going in. And there we go. As you can see, the first one is browning up already nicely. So we're looking for a nice and golden brown. So again, make sure that your oil is hot enough. Obviously, adding the fish would cool it down again a bit. You want to make sure that it doesn't come out too oily, because frying at low temperatures causes them to absorb a lot of oil. So what I hope you can see on the camera is all of these little light and airy air bubbles. And if we just break that open to show you guys, you can see that it's a thin crust.
Alright guys, and there we have our end result. Our lovely little fish and chips. We have our fish, and we have some sweet potato chips and some lovely peas to end it all off. If you hear anything rumbling, that's just my stomach. This smells really good. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video, my little catch, clean and cook. I just want to point out again, this is just one of many little recipes. This is just a nice, quick and easy one. Please do leave your suggestions and your favorite recipes down in the comments below. Please do hit the little thumbs up button, liking this little video. Alright guys, remember to subscribe and like, and thank you for watching. See you next time.